Win totals, season win totals. Stop me if you've heard this before, Clint.
Okay.
But betting on college football
Yes.
is one way that we have found that you are able to make a lot of money. If you like making a lot of money, similar to how we like that, you should come on back and we'll tell you exactly how to do that as we bet on these season win totals for SEC teams today on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everybody. Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. He is Daniel. I am Clint.
That's us.
That's us. Thanks for giving us your first listen of the day. We greatly appreciate that. Wherever you're listening to audio, if it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, leave a 5-star rating and review. Get that word out. If you're on the YouTube side, subscribe. Thanks for doing that. And get over to the audio side. Download it. Just download it. That's all we're going to say.
Go subscribe to an audio podcast of your choosing. Maybe you like the YouTube, but it's nice to have a backup plan. Maybe it's nice to have a backup plan.
You got to have it on your phone saved in the podcast list just in case something goes wrong.
So get on over to Spotify, get on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and do that for us. That
Daniel,
helps us out. Yeah, let's talk.
We went through 3 things today.
Okay.
The internet is stupid.
Oh, wow.
I know. 2,
breaking news here on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast.
Internet is stupid. Second, so we're going to talk about what is stupid about it. Secondly, we're going to talk about why it's important for Georgia that the internet is stupid. And then last couple segments, we're going to get down into some season win total bets for other SEC schools. And that's the big thing we're talking, why the internet is so stupid. It's talking season. Gums are flapping everywhere. There is somebody still trying to convince everybody that Alabama is a program of integrity because their head coach wasn't betting on games they were a part of. That's still happening currently out there in the world.
That doesn't sound right.
But it is, Daniel. We have right. Season win totals from...
You know who's a person of integrity? Mike White. Could we just for a second just... This is all I need to do. Just round of applause for Mike White, your men's basketball coach. Guys, that's all that we need to say about it. I don't need to go on and on. We're back to football win totals. But Mike White doing some things out there.
Can you stop?
Kudos to him.
Everyone, please, in the comments.
Kudos to him.
Tell my boy to stop. I need help on this.
They won't. They won't. Trust me. They will not.
They won't. I know they won't. Okay, we're going to do season win totals for the SEC that has come out by one illustrious Illuminati type betting place.
It's a betting place. It doesn't matter who it is.
That's right. Okay, let's go through the 2023 SEC win totals. And coming in, number one, we talked about the PFI over at ESPN and how ludicrous that is. This is
Monday show. Go back and listen to it if you
go back and listen. Far less ludicrous is the season win totals.
People in Las Vegas, they like money also, and so they're not trying to give it away.
Daniel, did you see? I think I saw this. The 6th most bet school to win college football playoff. Do you know who it is?
We need a whole segment to talk about this. This is a whole dumb things I read on the internet segment. Save it for tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna do dumb things I read on the internet.
Okay,
Georgia coming in a season win total 11.5, which means this is our first place we're gonna start segment 1. If they're done giving you a push at 11, you understand that's not gonna happen. Last year, Las Vegas came out and gave me 10.5.
Oh, and what did we do when we got that 10.5?
We took all of the units, every dime that we had, and we put it on the over, and it was nice. So now those days are done. Las Vegas said, not today, sweetheart. And they said, if you want to cash on this, Georgia's going to have to go undefeated, 12-0 in the regular season. We've talked about it. The schedule is soft. There's a road game at Tennessee at the very end of the year, and maybe a couple other opportunities to potentially slip up for this Georgia team. Do you like the over? I know you don't like the under, Clint, so I'm not even going to have you get into that. But do you like the over at 11.5? Because to be honest, I think Clint just left the podcast, so I'm just going to keep talking. To be honest, I do still like the over, but 11.5 season win totals are very hard to bet for me. When I see an 11.5 season win total, I need it to be as close to a sure thing of a 12-0 perfect regular season as I can get. It's not that Georgia won't be heavily favored in every game. I think our buddy Dawgs Stats maybe on Twitter pointed this out, or it could have been someone else. I just like to give Dawgs Stats credit, even if for any intelligent thing that I read, I just assume that it was him that said it. It's not that Georgia's not going to be heavily favored in every game that they're in, Clint. Welcome back to the show.
I appreciate that.
It's that when you start to take the cumulative effect of them winning every single game, that's where the percentages significantly drop. So it's not like Georgia versus Tennessee. Georgia's going to be an 8-point, 9-point favorite by the time, maybe more by the time November rolls around. Georgia's going to be 2 touchdown favorites in every other game that they're in. But even at that, the odds of them going 12-0, it's just incredibly difficult to run the table, go 12-0 in a regular season. Fluke things happen, weird plays. We remember the Missouri game last year.
I was just going to say Missouri last year. How about South Carolina before coming into home? So weird things happen. Game plans don't go. And yeah, it's just war of attrition at this point. Especially
I would never take the under. But it's not one of my favorite bets in the SEC to take Georgia over 11.5. I just don't think there's a ton of value there.
There's no value. None at all. So we're both in agreement on that. Whatever you do, please don't wish the Dogs to get you cash by taking the under.
You never take the under in a scenario.
We have emotional hedging that happens.
We do that. That's safe. That's fine.
This is not one of those times.
That's called betrayal.
That is called betrayal. We're going to come back after this, but first, BetOnline.
I'm sorry. First, probably FanDuel.
FanDuel
we're talking
first.
About.
Built Bar is first.
Built Bar's first.
Built Bar's first because they are the most fantastic protein bar in the entire world.
Yeah, they are.
Do you know this?
I know it. I know it well.
All the protein bars that were at your home when I was last there.
I've been restocking, Clint. I've started. I know you can tell when you look at me from like the chin up, but I've been out there running lately. How's that training that you've been doing, Clint? Getting ready for that?
2 miles yesterday. 2 miles.
Hello. Hey, you boys are out here running, and sometimes you come back from a run. Yep. And you want to drink a lot of water, and you want to get some protein in the system, and that's where Built Bar is clutch, comes in huge.
Built Bar, tastiest protein bar on the planet. It is high in protein, high in fiber, low in sugar, dietary approved, on the go meal replacement. Right now, Built.com and put in promo code Locked On, 15% off your entire order. That's Locked On, 15% off your entire order. Protein bar that tastes like a candy bar.
Probably the smoothest ad read we've ever done if I had to rank it.
Look, Daniel, I'm going to tell you this right now.
That's just why you don't take the over on an 11.5, because it's hard to have a perfect season, you know?
Let's now talk about the rest of the SEC, what we have going on. And Daniel and I are going to go through, if we were betting people, which this just in, we are, in fact, betting people. So
it's important to
we
note.
Enjoy that. FanDuel, thanks.
This is not a hypothetical.
No, this is a very
would we bet on this? This is it. Are we currently?
We will bet on.
Yes, we will.
SEC win totals.
Give me your favorite bet, Clint, from the SEC. Is it a team in the top? Is it a team in the bottom? Or is it one of these? I mean, just a huge swath of teams at either 6.5 or 7.5, which is just the sportsbook's way of saying to you, we don't know what's going to happen with
Here's
these
what Vegas
teams.
knows. Vegas says, we know Georgia and Alabama.
These are the things we know.
Everyone else,
we don't know what's going to happen.
A&M, who knows? All the talent in the world, not a coach nary in sight.
Not
Tennessee,
to be seen.
Great success. Hendon Hooker, no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
new coaches everywhere on the face of the planet. Mississippi State, Auburn, Missouri is Missouri.
I mean, but just looking between 7.5 and 6.5, you have Arkansas, Ole Miss, A&M, Kentucky, South Carolina, Missouri, Auburn, Mississippi State, all at either 6.5 or 7.5 wins, right there in the middle of the pack.
This is where you're going to have to make your money.
So
this is where it's.
So you tell me, Clint, is there a team in there that you really like that you're taking either the over or the under on?
This is going to shock no one who has listened to the podcast.
Oh, Lord. Here we go
I can't help myself.
Every year, people. It's every year.
2 teams, Daniel. 2 teams right in the 6 and 5. Kentucky is going to win more than 6.5 games, Daniel. They are not, again, has Kentucky ever been the more talented team when they take the field?
Rarely.
Rarely the most talented. And yet, every single year, they are competitive.
They didn't have Will Levis this year, and they lost him. Are you nervous about that, Clint?
The turnover machine, Will Levis?
When he threw the ball downfield, something exciting was bound to happen. It's just that half the time it was that your team would catch it, and half the time
they have
was that
a better chance of having a better quarterback this year with Will Levis off the roster. And yes, I said that correctly.
Sure.
They're well coached. They play defense. They do the trenches. They do all of that. In the SEC, against the likes, if you're telling me, would you rather have Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, or Kentucky and Stoops for beating their season win totals? I'm taking Stoops in Kentucky every single time, Daniel. That's where I start.
All right. I don't hate it. I like to, I was never the kid that had all the shiny new toys.
We've actually debunked this myth. I keep on talking about the lower rated video game system I had, and Daniel always came in with the video game system.
Well,
so
I was the kid that though frequently was out there just playing with the stick and a rock and running around and playing in the mud. So I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable mucking it up. The Kentucky Derby was last weekend. You gotta have a horse that likes the muck. His mother was a mutter.
His mother was a mutter.
His father was a mutter.
Guy loves the slop.
He loves the slop. Let's talk about Vanderbilt for a second.
Please,
please, let's do it.
Okay, I knew
the season win total is set at 3.5 games. Now let me explain to you the non-conference schedule here.
Okay,
we've got 3 cupcakes, guaranteed wins.
For Vanderbilt, yes.
For Vanderbilt, guaranteed wins. Now let me just dispel a myth right now. Vanderbilt is not a pushover program anymore. Now I know that they're still the worst team in the SEC. I'm not disputing that in any way, shape, or form. Clark Lee knows how to coach, and they've got more talent on that roster than they have in quite some time. Vanderbilt rolls through schools like Hawaii. That's the toughest of those 3 non-conference games, and they get that at home. They blew the doors off Hawaii to start last season, as some of you may recall.
You remember that weird game? That was
I made so much money on Vanderbilt in that game.
Yep.
It was not even funny. The only non-conference game of note that's difficult is a game against Wake Forest. Now, I think they can win that game against Wake Forest.
Sam Hartman gone from Wake Forest.
I think they can win that. They will not be favored, but I think they can win that game against Wake Forest. You need 4 wins to cash on this over.
Who they beat in the SEC?
Let me just tell you this. I don't think they need to win that game against Wake Forest to cash this season win total over. No, because they got 3 non-conference cupcakes, and then I think they're going to get one in the SEC. Now, they may beat Wake Forest as well and end up with 5 wins. I do not think Vanderbilt's going bowling this year.
No.
But listen, Florida, watch out. Missouri.
Okay, here we go.
Watch out. South Carolina in a bit of a trap game.
No.
Watch out.
Nope.
Vanderbilt is capable of beating over half the teams on their schedule on any given Saturday. They are not mathematically eliminated from over half the games on their schedule. No. They're going to get 4 wins. I love this bet. Give me Vanderbilt over 3.5.
We're going to come back after this, finish up with our couple more favorites that we have right after this. Daniel, you said Florida in teasing Vanderbilt.
First of all, welcome to the 199.
Come on now.
It's
loyal
the third segment, the loyal third
By
segment
the way, did you
listeners.
see our boy reaching out to us with the shirt that speak fluent in Lebanese?
I did. He is fluent in Lebanese, and I haven't seen anything more horrifying and beautiful at the same time. It's like
beautiful.
It's like the Kramer. It's hideous, and yet I cannot look away.
Look away.
I can't look away. Hey, if you're part of the 199, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, tell the
new
folks.
Show. I don't know if you know, but new show. Who dis? You boys' second podcast. It's called the Dad Pod. It's just a little show for dads.
If you're a dad out there, or you know somebody who's a dad,
or you have a dad, anyone is eligible to listen to this, to watch this show. Head on over youtube.com/thedadpod. Check it out. Find it. You can follow us on Twitter for more info on that. Clint, tell us about, you're going to bet on Florida? Okay. It's only 5.5. You can't take the under.
You can't take. Look, I'm not betting on Florida, but I'm just here to let you know. 5.5, the second fewest win total in the SEC is Florida.
Billy Napier's really doing some things.
That should clue you into something. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying it's interesting because it should clue you into the second least amount of wins in the SEC win total wise is Florida. They're bad, is what I'm saying.
They're bad.
What it tells me is that when the spreads come out every week, I'm going to be keenly interested on the points. That's what
like week 1 against Utah.
Okay. And again, for the record, whatever I'm laying
with Utah,
I will lay the points.
Lay them.
Because Kyle gonna come in
hot.
No, let me go. There are two teams that reek of the under to me.
Okay. We've had a couple of overs, and so we need a couple unders here.
If Tennessee does not replace any of the wide receivers, they can't replace Hendon Hooker. If they can't get the same production out of the wide receiver, because that's what they did.
Cedric Tillman, Jalen Hyatt, Hendon Hooker ain't walking through that door.
Okay. Now, remind me, Daniel, did Tennessee follow a stout rush defense to keep games close last year? Is that what won them games?
I'm sorry, you said defense.
Yeah.
So no, they didn't do that.
Tennessee does not play defense.
No, they didn't do that.
And they don't have their top 3 weapons.
They got that old big arm McGee. And I don't know if you know this, but they beat Clemson with him in the bowl game. Orange Bowl champions, Clint. Can you even...
I can't. Look, if they can't replicate over a season of those wide receivers, and that's going to be the biggest point. Because, again, go look at the film. They have a one-read-and-go offense. That's all they do. It's the simplest thing.
Speed and speed.
That's it. If they don't have that, it's going to be a very long season for Tennessee. And so I would take the under on that because it's better value. I have better percentage chance of it going wrong for Tennessee than right for Tennessee.
Let me just explain very quickly.
Okay, please do.
The number's 9.5.
It's a lot. Daniel, that's
Georgia and Alabama. Okay, so 10 wins is Tennessee's ceiling.
Yep.
Like the most wins that they could ever get is 10, which means all you need is them to lose one game. Yeah, they're going to do that. I'll take that under. Curious what your second under is before I give you my last bet, though.
This is just purely and speculatively because I think this is the last year Drinkovitz is in Missouri.
Ooh. I think Vandy's getting that SEC win against...
I think Vandy is going to get that. Mm-hmm. I would take the over on Vandy. I would take the under on Missouri. I just don't think Drinkovitz is going to be there the long term. I don't think they have as much talent as they did last year. And Missouri has had talented rosters in the SEC. Like, they're not slack for that at times. That kid Luther is just a straight baller. Like, that kid is lethal. Yeah. But I think a couple of notable wide receivers, one who may have come to UGA, knew what was coming down for Missouri. And I would take the under on Missouri.
A couple of teams that I lean under on.
Okay.
I don't know that either of these are my favorite bets. Probably Vandy and Tennessee are my 2 favorite bets.
Yeah.
In the conference. A couple teams I lean under on. One of them is old Sam Pittman in Arkansas. 7.5 wins.
That's a lot for Sam.
In a very competitive logjam SEC West. It's going to be tough, I think, for Sam Pittman and company. I don't think they're going to get one against LSU or Alabama. I do think Alabama is going to lose maybe a couple games this year, but I don't think, Arkansas is a contender to be one of those losses. And another one that I might lean the under on, and this is, I mean, man, you hate to base a bet just on chaos and not chaos in college football. We love to bet chaos in college football. I mean, within a program, is there a program in the country this offseason that has undergone more chaos than Mississippi State?
No.
We're talking about tragedy on the highest level and complete upheaval in the program. Now, I don't have anything against this guy who's coming in to lead the program. I think he could be a fine choice. What I wonder about is roster construction.
There it is.
And you have a coach like Mike Leach, who is a legendary coach, but obviously does things a certain type of way. Mm-hmm. And now you've built a roster around that type of way. And now you've had some attrition because guys have said, well, if it's not Mike Leach, it's not really for me. This is the guy that I came to play for.
Yes.
And so now what's the makeup of that roster like? I just see Mississippi State probably struggling and finishing near the bottom of the SEC West. And so 6.5 wins, although I think they'll do fine in the non-conference, I see 6.5 wins as maybe a bit of a tough hill to climb.
They can either galvanize around that old ball
exactly,
coach, or they cannot. It's going to be interesting down there. This has been Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. We'll see you all next time.
See ya.